So we are back. Peanut Gallery. Let's talk about titles. And obviously I have this one first because I want you to talk about this one.
Because everything's fucked up with the title scene right now. My fucking God.
There are way too many titles.
There are some promotions with not enough titles, and there are some promotions with way too many titles. And I want to talk about the 24/7 useless champion because there is no reason for it to ever have existed. Ever. Other than to be comedy fodder. But honestly, does the WWE need a comedy fodder? There's enough comedy fodder going on Mondays. Why do you need more of it? You got the Johnny Drip Drip. You got
yeah, but okay. Well, hold on. All right, hold on. Here's the thing, and I am actually going to defend the concept of this champion.
Oh
for a
my
minute.
God, you're gonna defend the 24/7 champion deserves to die.
It does now. At the time of its inception and what came out of it, honestly, it was the best stuff that WWE was doing in years.
It was, and then it didn't.
You had R-Truth and Drake Maverick and his wife, and you had Akira Tozawa to a point where they were all fighting, and the skits were really good. They flowed really well. And then you had, like that R-Truth and Drake Maverick. It was that was awesome stuff.
Yeah, but now it deserves to die.
Especially with like the commencement in the bedroom of Drake Maverick's wedding. That's fun comedy.
Yes.
Especially R-Truth coming out from underneath and pinning a naked Drake Maverick to win the belt back. Come on. But now they're doing this shit with Reggie and doing all the parkour shit without them catching him. And it's like, no, we want fun, organic. You have Drake Maverick there.
Right.
Incorporate him into this.
Exactly. So the 24/7 champion deserves to die a slow and painful death.
Right. All right, let's talk about the national champion next.
The NWA has way too many secondary titles. They either need to get rid of the national champion or they need to get rid of the television champion. Pick one of those two and get rid of one.
I will agree with you on that. I feel like they introduce, especially now because they have a brand new title.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of one of them.
Just get rid of one of them. Your roster is way too small to have more than one secondary champion. Now, one roster that deserves to have more than one is AEW. They need another mid-card championship. I'm sorry, they do. I don't care if the championship is a specialty one like the Cruiserweight champion or something, but they need to have another secondary because their roster is just so big.
It is a big roster, and especially because they introduced a brand new... I mean,
what are you doing, Tony? Are you going to get rid of are you going to do a brand split or something?
Oh, are we going to talk about TNT? Because let me pull up TNT here.
Well, the TNT's fine, but they need to have another secondary champion to go along with the TNT.
Well, they just introduced Rampage.
They did.
And here's my thing. Knowing AEW, they have titles in the works for that promotion.
They do.
That's the thing. I trust AEW to bring the right things at the right time with the right preparation. They wanted to make sure that that Rampage was going to be a drawer. That's just what it was. Dark was always supposed to be a people who did not get on the main card showcase, which is perfect. They don't need a title there. It's fine where it is. But especially with the TNT, the one thing that I don't like is that, it wasn't their fault, but if your title is not ready, don't introduce the title.
Okay.
I'm being a dick.
I know.
Because they introduced this during the pandemic.
Yep, they needed to have a secondary title. They should have one more secondary title. I'm sorry, they just have to have another one.
They could have waited to introduce this one, though.
They could have. Also, AEW would be the perfect candidate.
Also, here's the thing that I am going to say as well regarding the lineage of the TNT champion. The color of the strap is not going to change anything if you want to give a tribute to Brody. I'm sorry. If they wanted to really do this, discontinue the TNT champion.
All right.
Introduce something new.
So what about a women's tag? Now, they're not going to because the NWA and Impact both have women's tag team championships.
Right.
But
especially because one of them was AEW wrestlers going for it.
I really feel like AEW would have benefited most from that, but they didn't have it.
Here's my problem with that. So, number one, I was wondering why you had the AEW Women's World Champion in your little thing.
Because I was thinking about a women's tag team champion for AEW. So, do you think that because they're all doing things together now. Obviously, it's like you got NWA, you got AEW,
right.
You got Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling and now NWA have women's tag team champions.
Right.
Why are you giving the roster with the fewest women signed full time the tag team champions, but you're not giving the roster with the most women signed besides WWE in the women's tag team champions?
No, that's fine. In the defense of what was going on regarding the NWA, there is a lineage.
There is.
With the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions that I will actually be talking about when we do Wrestling Lesson. The thing is that number one, yes, I feel like they did that a little too early. But they want to do that for headlines, and that's fine.
What about Impact?
I feel like I don't think they should have brought those back. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have, but they did.
They did.
They're not the weakest roster, but they're the smallest roster.
I would have rather had the NWA Women's Tag before the Knockouts Tag any day of the week. Now we have both, and it's like, okay, well, now what's going to happen with the Impact?
Because now you know that AEW is not going to introduce those because of the fact.
Why the fuck would they? They can go for the NWA Women's, and they can go for the Impact. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And I think that AEW was in the best position to introduce those.
Right, because they had the strongest and they had one of the largest, other than WWE,
right?
Who has two.
They have two.
I don't know why you didn't put one of those fucking ones in there. Why do you have the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions?
Yeah, I'm going to defend them with that one.
Okay, why do you want to defend them with that one? I hated that. I hated that idea. Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to talk about NXT and WWE as two distinct brands because that's the direction they're going. I think that NXT and NXT UK having one championship, one tag team for the women's championship is great.
Okay.
And then you have the WWE ones where they have their own. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Because if I were to say that 5 months ago when they were trying to make NXT a third brand, I would have said there's bullshit. But now I can kind of see what's going on.
Okay. So do you believe that the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions could be defended in the United Kingdom?
It could be, yes.
Because it's NXT UK.
Exactly.
It's not called anything else.
Right.
Okay.
But anyways, that's another conversation.
It is.
I do think that AEW should have been the one to have the tag team champions, not Impact, not NWA. It should have been AEW.
Okay.
But I understand why they brought them back. NWA has a history. Impact has a history. AEW doesn't have the history with it.
Right.
I understand it. But it's just disconnect. Let's talk about the championships that are trophies right now.
Let's talk about Heritage and then KOPW.
Oh my God, the Heritage Cup needs to be a title.
So
it needs to be a belt.
Here's the thing.
It needs to be defended like everything else. It should be a fucking stupid what?
Here's the thing. A trophy is only meant to be an accomplishment that you do not have to defend. By the definition,
it is an accomplishment that you do once.
By the definition of a trophy, the PGA Tour person does not give that trophy to the winner of the next one.
Right.
They have a trophy and it's there. I like the concept. Here's my thing. If I was going to do something different with this, I would have done a sash instead of a belt. Because a sash was the original championship for professional wrestling back in the 1800s and 1900s. And especially in England, sashes were there until like the 40s. That's how they did that. And they did a pin per person for every time you won. So I would have rather have had that instead of the heritage.
Instead of the cup.
Instead of the cup. I would have had the heritage.
I understand why they brought the cup, because that's...
It's a secondary champion. It is defended, and there are number one contenders.
But I also understand that trophies are very important to English culture. But the point being is that if you want to defend it, it has to be a belt. Same with the KOPW champion.
Or that trophy nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, number one, at least with the heritage, they actually put some fucking investment into it instead of just pulling out the trophy from a McDonald's Happy Meal.
Right.
Like, that's legitimately what I think of when I look at the KOPW bullshit. And I didn't like it to begin with because Okada was the one who introduced this.
Oh,
so I'm
I
like,
know.
oh my God, there's going to be like an actual thing because Kazuchika Okada introduced it. Other than that first match, when was the last time that Kazuchika Okada was associated with this thing at all?
Right.
Zero.
I mean, there isn't any. And also, especially with NXT UK, why did you not reintroduce the European champion? You had the North American champion with the NXT in North America. Why did you not reintroduce the NXT UK European champion?
Right. That would
Why?
have been fine.
What are you reserving it for? Your non-existent European promotion that's no longer going to be there because NXT failed?
NXT didn't fail.
Yeah, it did.
How did it fail?
Because they put watercolor in it.
Mm.
That's when you know it failed.
I
think they were planning that. I think they were planning a European champion revival.
That is a discussion for another time
It is.
because I still feel like you're wrong on that.
But anyways.
I think here's my thing. Just for clarification, I think NXT UK is the saving grace of the NXT that we know and love. The NXT of America is dead.
It's dead.
NXT UK is the NXT.
Is about to die. So anyways.
I hope it doesn't. If it does, then they're idiots.
Yeah.
Well, they're idiots anyway.
Well, anyways, let's move on. So, when I look at when I look at something like New Japan, when I look at AAA, when I look at anything like that, I have to think about like what's the most ideal number of championships.
Here's my thing.
Here's
Here's my thing. I'm surprised you didn't even bother mentioning, especially with a topic like this.
Here's the thing: is I think AAA has a perfect number of champions.
No. I'm not talking about AAA. I'm talking about the other Mexican promotion.
CMLL.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care about them.
I think it's still the thing of discussion for what you're wanting to do here.
Oh no. AAA is the number one promotion in Mexico right now.
That's a lie, and you know it. I'm sorry, that's a lie.
In my opinion, I'd rather watch AAA than I would.
Yeah, well, in your
CMLL.
opinion, but what your opinion is and what is tradition is different. Here's the thing. I do not like a promotion, especially as small as CMLL, having 27 active championships.
Okay.
But here's why they have it. Because, once again, we have tradition.
Yeah.
And tradition, especially for tonight, is important. The thing is that the NWA had those historic champions there because NWA was very strong in Mexico at that time.
Right.
So they made titles for that area. Same thing with the Nationals, where it was like, okay, literally they set it up like high school sports. It's literally the same principle, where a division has a division champion, which was like your Guadalajaras, your Mexico Cities. They had different ones. Then you go to your states, which are the national champions. Your national heavyweight, your national light heavyweight champions, which is still a thing in CMLL. Then you go to the nationals, which were nationals, which are the world, which is your world heavyweight, your world cruiserweights, your world whatever.
Right.
It is a very failed concept now because they're all under the same banner of CMLL.
Right.
It just doesn't exist anymore. So there's good and bad things with it. I'm just still surprised. I don't even care if you cared about it or not. CMLL is an established promotion in Mexico that if you're talking about Mexico, you gotta talk about it.
Oh, I know. And I know that CMLL is the biggest ever. Like, they're guilty of all the bullshit that's been going on with the championships. But the point is I want to emphasize what I feel and what many other people might feel to be the ideal number of championships.
I agree. I do agree with you. Like, I mean, you know, you have AEW who don't have enough belts.
They don't have enough belts.
Then you have the NWA that has too many belts. Unless they're going to sign a bunch of people, which they had. Here's my thing. Before the pandemic happened, with the titles they had a lot of people. I think they had. I think they were skirting a line. I think they had a line of not too many people to just enough for the titles that they had. And then, you know, during the pandemic, you know, obviously that was without their control. But then there was a point where every single person that they had signed. I mean, they had 5 people signed, and all of them were the champions.
Yeah,
and that was it. But they came back. It was not their fault, obviously.
Right.
But here's a problem with the NWA is that when you're a promotion like that, where it's still kind of regional-ish, but you're still on something big with big money, other companies are going to look at you. Your Thunder Rosas left from there. You're Serena Deebs. You have Aaron Stevens. You had James Storm. You had Eli Drake. You have fucking Nick Aldis, who I can almost guarantee you WWE and AEW are knocking on his fucking door all day goddamn long. Mickie James to a point, except for WWE because, you know, trash bag, whatever. It's a fine line with titles, and I feel like
it is.
And also you have to think about importance of champions to really establish if it means anything.
Within CMLL, champions need nothing. They have 33. They don't care about the belts.
The only belts that they care about are the world.
Right, and then you got to think about something like AEW. They put a lot of importance in the championships.
And then you got to think about NWA. Every title feels important.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even though they have a bunch of titles, we even saw it with Empowerrr, where you had this wonderful event with this big thing, and it was an emotional time when they introduced women's tag team champions. Women's tag team champions, it was important. It was like, okay, they clearly put a lot of emphasis. And then you have the women's world champion defended twice. You have the only one that I could possibly think of that doesn't really mean anything other than the rule of the television champion is a television champion.
Right.
Because it wasn't defended on the show.
Right.
But the national champion, it felt important. The world title, of course it felt important.
Well, yeah, of course.
So it really feels like where do you go with those titles? You can introduce 1,000 titles.
What is the ideal number? I mean, I guess
it's ideal.
On the importance of the titles.
It's ideal number in booking of the importance of the titles. AEW, every title feels important.
They need more, but every title feels important. They could benefit from a 6-man tag title. That would still feel important.
It'd benefit for a Rampage title. Something exclusively for Rampage. Hell, Dark would benefit from a belt.
Right.
I mean, goddamn, New Japan Pro Wrestling, once again, another example. They have the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. Once again, it's an American strict promotion that has a title, and it feels important.
Yeah.
Every title in New Japan feels important. Now, it didn't before, but now it does. So, I mean, for me, those are kind of my 2 cents. Here's my thing. Titles are finicky. Mm-hmm. You can introduce 1 million titles to a promotion of 5 people, but if each of those titles feel important, introduce those titles.
Yeah.
But if you don't treat those titles with the respect and admiration that they deserve, don't introduce them. I don't care. The only thing is when you introduce a new concept into a championship belt, like a trophy or a medal or a crown.
Right.
Crowns, trophies, and medals, those aren't defended. Michael Phelps is not going back to the fucking Olympics to defend his gold medals. That doesn't happen.
It feels important because he won it and that's it.
Right. It's a symbol. It's symbolism of the accomplishment, not the symbolism of you being the best.
Right.
Let's wait until the next person to be the best.
Right.
That's the difference. So those are kind of my 2 cents. Is there anything else that you need to say before we go into wrestling?
I think that you have answered my questions for me. I want to put that to you.
Perfect.
So when we come back,
we're talking about women's professional wrestling in the NWA.